You are watching Vanquish Gaming. This is our 2v2 Season 1, a Week 6 matchup, and quite a matchup it is. We are joined by ElPolloLoco and his teammate Crump, and they will be fighting bnasty and Diener in what is going to be most likely an epic Week 6 matchup. Just a little bit of history here for those of you joining us. Diener and bnasty are basically fighting for a playoff spot. This has come down to the wire for them. Their bye week is in week 7, which means that this is their last game of the season, and it is an absolute must-win. They have struggled back and forth with wins and losses. They will need to secure a victory against Pollo and Crump. And of course, if you've watched previous games, you know that Pollo and Crump are two top players in the VGL. They have had a little bit of difficulty trying to, kind of curb a little bit of common mistakes, but other than that, they have been excellent. Crump, of course, a master of Blink Stalker and everything Protoss, and Pollo, a transition master in Zerg, and Diener and bnasty have really fallen flat in a lot of their attempts to try and gain traction with their early harassment builds. So this is going to be one hell of a matchup, as Pollo and Crump are basically only fighting for seed position in the playoffs. They've all but secured the playoffs. Meanwhile, bnasty and Diener, this is an absolute must-win, and it will be one hell of an upset victory if they can pull it off. Definitely, the statistics are not in their favor. We do see some scouting here from Diener, as a Magma Core, of course, has a little bit of a side base here that you can possibly be on. We see Crump as well, also scouting out. bnasty throwing down a cybernetics, a gateway, and we do see here a little bit of walling action going on with Diener, as a barracks is just finishing. They continue to drone up and work her up, and we see here bnasty falling behind on the worker count just a little bit. Everyone else pretty much holding tight at 15 to 16 workers. We do see Pollo with a spawning pool on its way up and some gas coming down for Crump. Now this team opting not really to wall off anything. We do see Pollo with some eyes on the ramp and Crump building a single pylon, but nothing else. We do see bnasty, however, building a pylon here. This is most likely going to be for some kind of cannon rush cheese here. And like I said, Diener and bnasty, a team that is known for early harassment, and they are also known for some cheese every once in a while. And this is a desperation game for them, so they will absolutely need to build something. Crump, of course, immediately spotting this cannon rush, sends his workers in there to try and fight it off. You see B desperately trying to save that worker as he drops down a second cannon. These cannons will not see the light of day. He is hurting a little bit of the economy here of Crump, but this is going to cost him more than it's going to cost Crump. This is going to be a failed cannon rush. And we do see Diener pumping out some Marines as quickly as possible. Also see Pollo going in and trying to take out this pylon as quickly as he can. It looks like a little bit of change of heart on his part, as he is, it looks like bnasty has built another pylon here inside Crump's base, and Pollo, realizing that he's going to need to do something about that, he goes immediately for the pylon. A good move on his part. Definitely wants to try and cut off the power source. And we see bnasty putting another pylon here in the back, trying to get those cannons up. He may actually get one of these cannons to kind of finish here. I mean, no, it doesn't look like it now. There are just way too many Zerglings and workers here, and this is going to be a very expensive failure on bnasty's part. And a couple more of Pollo's Zerglings take out the rest of that pylon, and we see Pollo rushing in here to try and do some kind of counter. He will be met, unfortunately, by a wall full of Marines. These Marines will most likely stop these Zerglings from being able to do anything here. He might be able to squeeze in between these two barracks here. It's a little hard to tell, but other than that, it looks like this is a very failed attack on the part of bnasty and Pollo. See Crump now dropping a forge as well. Crump a little bit delayed, it looks like, but it looks like Pollo has not missed any steam at all. His one base is putting up a formidable amount of Zerglings here. We also see a Baneling that's coming down. It's going to be a great Baneling bust. This bunker here is probably going to take down a few of those Banelings. He's going to want to pad it with a little bit of Zerglings there. But it's going to be very interesting to see how bnasty's going to bounce back here. We take a look at the economy. See bnasty really trailing here. Only 500, 550 about average mineral count here. Pollo, for his 21 workers, is also a little bit low on the resource count there. We do see him now finally going for an expansion. They've pretty much guaranteed that they have the ability to expand without any pressure here, considering that really Diener's the only one with an army That was a very expensive failure on bnasty's part with that failed cannon rush. And it's amazing that it took all the way to week 6 for us to see a cannon rush. I believe only Chromix has attempted a cannon rush besides bnasty here, and Chromix's cannon rush was of course on Scorched Haven, a map that is great for cannon rushes, but he literally chose the worst spot on the map. We see Diener going down with a tech lab, possibly trying to transition to, looks like, siege tanks and possibly some banshees. We'll have to see how he decides to use that. You see a lot of Zerglings popping out here, and here come the banelings. These banelings are going to be critical if he wants to break through this wall here. And, you know, Poyo very aggressive. We also see Crump go ahead and building an expansion as well. And, you know, bnasty saying right there, hey, we got some speedlings. But little does he know that he also has some banelings. Now, those banelings don't have a speed upgrade, which means that if he wants this to be effective, he's going to have to use these Zerglings to kind of pad it. Let the Zerglings grab some of the aggro as they roll in, and then focus fire those banelings on this bunker. This bunker is your top priority. With this bust, you want to try to take this down, especially with all these Marines hanging out behind it. It's a great place to try and hit. He's going to need some more banelings, though. This is, yeah, this is not, unfortunately, he did not use enough banelings there, and this bunker will just barely hold. He's going to definitely need some more banelings if he wants to pull this off, especially now with the siege tank in place. Actually, Diener should probably creep this siege tank, and there it is. He realizes it as well. And we do see now some, let's go and take a look at the unit count. You see some 4 Stalkers and 2 Zealots coming out here, as well as a Banshee. This will be very useful to try and thwart a little bit of Poyo's attacks here. We do see a Spire coming in as well. They're going to want to attack before that Spire hits. Do not let him get his macro up. He will overwhelm them with Mutalisk if that is the case. And those Banshees, of course, are no good to attack anything in the air. So I'd say after the second Banshee, just go ahead and march him right in there. Most likely we'll get that that cloak ready right before he gets to the base. We see this siege tank and a lone Marine. It's a very brave Marine there, just kind of marching out there. You know, I guess he's there to try to entice these Zerglings, and they've done a great job. Diener's done an excellent job whittling down these banelings, and you know, he's got some great proximity on this siege tank here, just able to watch the entire ramp there. Just an excellent position. Unfortunately, needs to get a missile turret over here because pretty soon some Mutalisks are probably going to come by and try to take that out. And we have this Spire just ready to pop here, and the cloaking is almost ready as well. We see Blink coming down for Crump and some Immortals. And we also see a Dark Shrine for bnasty, a very typical bnasty build there, going for DTs. He'll try to use those to try and you know, either mix them into Diener's army there and try to back him up, or he'll use them for surprise attacks, usually with some kind of shuttle drop. We'll have to see how that happens. Right now, the scouting, a big problem for Diener and bnasty, but we see them doing a much better job now as they basically guessed correctly in both tries of where these locations of these bases are. So that will definitely give them a little bit of an edge, since they can now have targets for these surprise attacks, both using drops for the DTs and these Banshees. And we see Poyo as well, also getting a little bit of eyes in there, using this Overseer to try and get some visibility in the base. And he did get some visibility. I mean, he's at least aware of some things here. We also see Crump go ahead and moving an observer around, trying to get some eyes as well in case of any rollouts. But when we see Crump really starting to saturate this, take a look at the economy tab here, and you'll see that Crump and Poyo are really starting to outpace Diener and bnasty. They're really going to need to do something about this economy. We do see some spores coming down as well in response to those Banshees that were spied. So the situation is getting away from them. Diener has taken too long to attack with these Banshees. He needed to attack a lot sooner than this and try to time that cloak with the arrival of the Banshees at the enemy base to try and just save some time here. We do see a nice buildup of units here from Crump. Not the usual size that we're used to. We also see some probes mixed in there. A little confusing with that. We did see in week 5 lots of probe play. So I'm not sure if there's some inspiration there. And oh, Diener just completely wasting that Banshee, rolling it in there to the main base. And a DT apparently also following suit. This DT is going to take out this queen, but it will unfortunately fall the rest of this army. And we do see Poyo throwing down an additional spore colony as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at the production tab. We see a spine coming down for Poyo, and we also see lots and lots of Mutalisks being built. And there is a Warp Prism from Crump as well, as he will try to get some penetration in on this base. Not much building going on for Diener and bnasty outside of a siege tank. And, you know, at this point they're being out macroed. We do see Diener attempting to get some expansion here. We do see Crump with eyes on the Xel'Naga. We'll have to see if he can, he can indeed see that this base has been taken. So we'll have to see if there's any kind of response to that. We do see a rollout taking place here. Crump looks like he's going to try and deny this expansion as quickly as possible. That is definitely a good move. They do have an economic advantage right now, and they should try to exploit it. We see Pollo definitely exploiting it, going for a third base here, as well as a Zergling rollout with some mutas. Let's take a look at the unit count here. You'll see we've got, you know, about 15 Stalkers and 2 Immortals, a nice sized bunch of Stalkers here. But we do see a nice buildup of mutas, 11 mutas. It's going to come in handy against this planetary fortress, and this fortress will go down. It will take out most of these Zerglings in the process, but it is going down. You also see Crump here rolling out with his army, kind of going back and forth, not looking for anything. We do see some Banshees here trying to poke in on this base, but not really able to get any traction. Crump, of course, keeping an eye on them with his Overseer. I'm sorry, his shuttle there, and that shuttle will keep those Banshees at bay most likely until he can get some visibility. A little surprised these mutas are not being used to try and take out these Banshees while they can. I mean, granted, they do have cloak, but you know, with that amount of mutas, you should be able to at least pop 1 or 2 of them almost instantly. I'd like to see what he's going to do with these mutas here. Definitely a great harassment tool. We do see lots of Marines and Stalkers waiting for the initial roll-in of those mutas. We have not seen them roll in just yet. Right now they're just being used for expansion denial. Do see lots and lots of gateways going down. Looks like an additional command center from Diener here to try and expand. And we do see Crump as well, a little paranoid that these Banshees are going to try to do something here. In the meantime, though, this shuttle is going to be put to work. Looks like this shuttle is going to attempt to roll in. Unfortunately, it's going to be met with lots of missile turrets. It might be able to get some traction over here in between the 2 bases, but most likely will get shot down before that. We also see Pollo putting a single Baneling down to prevent any future expansions. And there we see some sniping going on from these mutas, trying to take out as many of these siege tanks as possible. They got 1.5 siege tanks. This siege tank will need another volley, but a Thor on the scene will definitely keep it honest. This shuttle being held at bay by Crump. And we see bnasty going for an incredibly ballsy wall-off here. I'm sorry, not a wall-off, an expansion. Very, very interesting choice here. See some cannons coming down. He's going to attempt to cannon rush Pollo. However, this spine is going to keep him honest and basically prevent him from getting any kind of expansion. However, these DTs are going to be a problem. They have about 15 seconds before that spore colony piles up here. We do see another buildup of units taking place at the front of Diener and bnasty's base. They really need to roll out soon and get some traction, though, because unfortunately they are way behind on the resources. Take a look at the economy tab. They're basically being doubled in resource count on the other side. This is not good at all. bnasty, of course, informing of the mutas, which I'm pretty sure they've known about for about 10 minutes. But nevertheless, it always helps to remind. And these mutas, surprisingly, not rolling in here. We take a look at the vision, and we can see that they definitely have eyes on this. They are definitely aware that this is here. They have just chosen not to do anything about it. And here comes the rollout from Diener and bnasty. They definitely have a nice-sized army. Unfortunately, this army is much larger. The only disadvantage that they would have is that these Zerglings might get kind of stuck inside in the army there and unable to flank. We do see these mutas finally rolling in to go ahead and try to pop that nexus. Meanwhile, here comes the big battle. See Diener and bnasty taking it to this expansion, trying to get some traction here. These Zerglings a little distracted by these Zealots here. It's gonna be close. It looks like the siege tanks are definitely doing a good job trying to do some damage here, but the blink is going to eradicate that siege tank, and this should be an easy counterattack for Crump and Pollo here. Well, mostly Crump. Pollo sacrificed most of his army there. However, these mutas did do the job. We do see bnasty blinking in, warping in some Stalkers to try and take out these mutas. Looks like he took out about half of them. Meanwhile, Pollo's expansion still holding true here. See, he's got lots and lots of Lings coming out, 55 Lings on the map. And in the production tab, we do see more Thors and Siege, as well as Zealots coming down for bnasty and Diener. We do also see a Greater Spire being put down and some Corruptors coming out. This will most likely spell Broodlords. And we do see Diener again attempting to expand. Unfortunately, Pollo does have a Zergling burrowed here that will prevent him from expanding. And we do see finally a wall attack here as Crump rolls in with the rest of that army. and his charge lots are going to make quick work of these Marines. This is starting to look like a very bad situation here. Diener trying to get this siege tank in position, try to whittle down some of this army at least, but this is not looking good at all, as all chaos has broken loose here. And the early attack, of course, not going very well. We do see these DTs starting to whittle down some of these zealots, but there's just way too much here. And bnasty, I'm guessing, most likely acknowledging the fact that this is not going well at all. And the GG from bnasty and Diener, and this will give an early victory to Crump and Pollo. Crump and Pollo, of course, only fighting for seed position at this point, as playoffs are basically all but guaranteed. Diener and bnasty desperately need to win this final match that they have here against arguably superior opponents from a record standpoint. However, the skill of Diener and bnasty should not be ignored. These two players are good veteran players here of the VGL, and they do try a little bit of the early rush tactics and to be a kind of an early harassment team, but that's not to say that they don't have other tricks up their sleeves. So we'll have to see how they plan to bounce back from this loss. Obviously, the early attack did not work very well. The cannon rushing, absolute failure. They're going to have to do some drastic change in strategy and approach here and continue to improve that scouting and expansion denial. They simply just got out-macroed in this game. So we'll have to see in Game 2, which will be an elimination threat for Diener and bnasty and possibly the end of their season.